Good afternoon, folks. How is everybody?
Preparing your settings. There we go.
All right, let's do this properly then. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. And I want to welcome Yvette and Johan to this call. And the reason for this is I get a lot of questions. Now, I've heard these two people here are functional medicine practitioners. And I deal with a lot of people. I'm a nutrition consultant. So I deal with a lot of people that ask me a bunch of questions that I can't always answer. And I know there are smarter people out there than me. And we're looking at two of them right here. So let me just introduce real quick. The beautiful lady in the picture is my bride, Yvette. And I've known her for quite some time. And I just complimented her the other day on her memory, how she remembers things that she's learned, right? Which I think is fascinating, because she can pull out information out of the back of her brain there like nobody. And I find that very, very fascinating. And then the other fine gentleman is Johan, a friend I've known now for, goodness, I don't know, Johan, probably 10 years or so.
Yeah.
All right. He's much better looking now than he used to be.
Better hairstyle too.
Yeah, that you got to stop using that shampoo from Walmart. It's not doing you any good, my man. All right, but Johan is a pharmacist, and so is Yvette. They work in two different states, but they have the same mindset when it comes to helping people sort out their problems. All right, and we're not talking psychological problems. We're talking health challenges, weight challenges, not being able to sleep, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to throw this out there real quick. I've heard you guys on some of your calls, and I've heard you refer to yourselves as drug reduction specialists. All right, is that an actual thing? And if it is, can you give us a bit of a rundown? Johan, let's throw it to you real quick.
Well, the first time I heard this term was when somebody called Yvette a medication reduction specialist. And I thought, I like the sound to it, because we deal with people in the pharmacy all the time with all these different medications that they're on. And they have, a lot of them have a lot of side effects. Sometimes they just feel that they've got this lack of energy, and that is just because of the condition they have. But it's so many times, it is part of the side effects of their medications. And I've seen it over and over again in the pharmacy. There's this cycle. Somebody comes in for one drug. Next month, we go see the doctor for a checkup. Now there's two, and then there's three. And it's like this never stops. And I feel, from what we've learned, first year in pharmacy school, and I believe any medical degree, they teach you basic anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. But down the line, as we get to the end of our studies, we kind of forget those things, and it's all just drugs. And I feel as medical practitioners, both pharmacists and doctors, you get so sucked into that point where we forget that the body can actually heal itself. Yeah. But I want to hear from Yvette, where did that medication reduction specialist term comes from, because I really love it.
Yeah, go for it, Yvette. Please enlighten us.
Thanks for having me on. I honestly don't know where that term came from, but somebody named me that quite a while ago. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I started investigating taking people off PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. A lot of doctors had contacted me and said, now that there's so many studies out about the fractures and, long-term side effects. So I was contacted by a lot of people because I actually had to do it with my own mother. So that's where a lot of that came from. I had learned so much from that, because a lot of these doctors trusted me with their patients when they realized that after certain medications that were developed to take for 2 months, 3 months, maybe 6 months, but change your diet, your behavior. And I'm talking about a wide spectrum of drugs. It became very apparent that they were looking towards me for how do we do this? Because some of these, when you take somebody off something, they could feel like they're having a heart attack. So what helped there was looking into a little bit deeper into what was the root cause. Why did they initially start on that? And nobody did anything to help for that initial treatment. So that's very much where that terminology came from, and it's kind of stuck, and it's always being a little bit of a tongue in cheek, because initially we just started laughing about it, thinking how funny it is. But this is really kind of serious, because with this approach and our knowledge of the pharmacology side of it, and also with the added learning about functional medicine, where we go a little bit deeper, going in the background, what is the cause? Where is this from? That is where our knowledge of the medication, the drugs, all those pathways, together with supporting the person's function, their health and that nutrition, their biology, and always working with a medical practitioner, that's where the two collided. And it's been with a tremendous success. I've had so many people being so thankful that I've been able to help them and walk them through this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you say root cause, the thing that reminds me of, look, I used to work in engineering. So my brain is an engineering brain. And I want to know why things work the way they do. All right. Don't just tell me the sky's blue because I said so. I need to know why is it blue. Well, I still haven't found that one out, by the way. But my point is this: I want to know what's the cause of the problem. And it's like if you're driving in your car and your oil light comes on. You don't just put a little Band-Aid over the oil light and say everything's okay now. You're going to pull the car off the road and pop the hood and see what's going on. Why did that oil light come on? So I'm guessing, and you can explain a little bit about what functional medicine is, but I'm guessing the root cause of a problem is part of what functional medicine is all about. Is that right?
Very, very true. And I have to say, Tony, talking about the root cause, as we delved into the functional medicine practices and how to actually dig to go and find that root cause, I look back at all my history for every doctor's visit that I can remember where I went to prior to functional medicine, to think back and think, if I had this problem, did the doctor really dig back to see where the root cause was? Or was the first thing just grab a prescription pad, quickly, there you go home. Give this to your pharmacist. And I have to say, I can't remember of a single practitioner who ever took a detailed history of me. The first detailed history of my health and wellness that was ever done to that depth was the one I did myself with the practice of functional medicine. And I thought, is this even possible? Does anybody look that far back to see? Who knows? Because as Yvette can tell you as well, in functional medicine, we look back in your history pre-birth to see for things that might have gone wrong. And it's not always a permanent. If you think you've got a permanent, I don't believe any problem is permanent. We were born overcomers by the grace of God. And I feel that's really our passion, to help people, to carry people over those burdens, those obstacles, to really start enjoying life. Because I don't know, I'm really happy since I found this.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you talk about no doctor really gave you a thorough drill down as to your history. And a number of years ago, we came across a new doctor, a naturopathic doctor. And I'll never forget the first time Yvette went to go see her. She was there for, I think it was 2 hours, Yvette, 2.5 hours or something. Before she even touched her or measured her heartbeat or anything like that. They sat there and I thought, what's going on here? They're forming a new friendship here. What's going on? But yeah, she sat there for 2 hours and just grilled her, went back in history, this, that, and the next thing. Now, I know when you go see a doctor's office, you fill in these forms. Does your parents have diabetes, heart attack? And, I can check all those boxes. No, all the way down. But that doesn't tell them about me. It just tells them that my dad didn't have diabetes and my mom didn't die of a heart attack.
Very true.
And I find a lot of stuff these days, a lot of the doctors and research, everything is just correlation. Oh, because the house was on fire and the fireman is there, the fireman is responsible for the house burning down. All right. Yeah. Just because my dad was a diabetic, a type 2 diabetic, doesn't mean I'm going to be. And that's what I like about what you were saying now. Let's have a look at you. Let's dig down and see what's going on in your body and your past, So yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. So, okay, I might be jumping the gun here a little bit. All right. And Yvette, you can chime in because I know you deal with a lot of doctors on your calls and things with your work. Do doctors still have a place in this world? Or is everybody going to run to you and Johan?
Well, I'm very glad you're asking that question because the one thing that we never ever want to disregard is the importance for doctors. Definitely not. Very important. But we are in a society where they are very overwhelmed. They have so much work to do. And it's kind of like narrowed their line of practice to specialized fields. And this is where I feel we come in and help tremendously because Johan and I are not there to go and fix your arm if it's broken. If you have a cut on your head, I can't do anything in a Zoom call. So no, that is definitely not our purpose. But what Johan said earlier, the one big thing that functional medicine has done for me is to give people hope.
Yes.
I have been able to, with the thorough medical history, looking at not just their history, but stuff like where do they come from, where were their family, their lifestyle, and then environmental, because I've been able to pick up a ton of stuff from people's sensitivities to environment. You're not going to pick that up in a blood work. And the thing about us is we are able to give people hope. The ones that have literally, their blood work is fine, but they feel like crap. And that person then starts thinking, there's something wrong in my head. And when we are able to sit down with them, and like Johan said, you go back pre-birth, you go look at what happened to your family. How was your mom's pregnancy? Going through all of that, it gives us a kind of a picture that we can see where all this is coming from. And it's just an incredible thing when you see a result, when you deal with somebody that's, say, for example, 50 years old, and it goes back to when they were 12 years old, and they kept on having strep throat. Yeah. And that was the cause. I always talk about a tipping point. I'm trying to look in a person's life, where was that tipping point? Now, you could end up being overweight. You could end up having a heart problem. You could end up having high blood pressure. I'm not pinpointing it to one thing. The only thing is Johan and I, and it takes time to go through and find that tipping point. Where did your health go wrong? Maybe somebody died. Maybe there was a car accident. But that is what I feel is important, where we spend the time, do the approach, versus your doctor. We will never be able to replace them, but we would like to work together with them in a field and help them where they want to help their patients, but they don't have the time.
Very good. If I may add on, Tony, we see it in our pharmacy practice all the time. The time that you get to spend with a patient is so limited. And the same with the doctors. The system is so overwhelmed that I believe the doctor would gladly want to sit down with you for an hour or so to discuss, to see those points where small little lifestyle hacks can help you, but they just don't have the time.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's money. They got to pay the bills. They got to pay their sponsors. All this kind of stuff. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I believe there are some big conspiracies out there. And unfortunately, and this is my personal opinion, you guys can differ. I think there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the medical field. It's one of those things. I remember as a kid, doctors used to do house calls. Remember, they used to come to your house with a little black briefcase and whip out the stethoscope and all that kind of stuff? That doesn't happen anymore. Yep. It doesn't happen because it takes too much of his time. All right. And he's got to get through 400 patients in a day. So I feel sorry for the doctors in that sense, because I think a lot of doctors become doctors because of their passion for helping people. Yeah. Now, there are some that just figure, I can learn the stuff, I can practice it, I can make a bunch of money. Each to his own, it's fine. But the doctors that really care about their patients, they're out there. And I think it's our job. I remember watching one or two videos of doctors that said, their patients would come to them with whatever it was. They were overweight or they were diabetic. And the doctor would prescribe the standard operating procedure. And the person would come back 6 months later, having lost 40 pounds, no longer diabetic. And he'd ask, what did you do? And they said, I did this, that, and the next thing. And he kept seeing this repeating in his practice. And eventually he said, I've got to figure out what these guys are doing. And he went and dug deep and found out what they were doing. He changed his entire practice, all right, to treat the people properly, not just give them drugs. And I think it's our job as well, mine, yours, Yvette's, to try and help the doctors. You know, if we know stuff that they might not know, let's inform them. And, you know, I take my hat off to the two of you because you're in the drug business.
Yeah.
All right. And you don't have a choice every day, 8 hours, 10 hours a day. You got to help people get their drugs, get more of their drugs. You know, I always think if the drugs are working so well, why do you need a refill every 30 days?
Yeah.
Right. But it's not for me to question. It's just that's the way it is. But I think what you guys are trying to do is phenomenal, you know.
And I think also we can do those things that the doctors don't have the time to do. So we can really take each other's hands because there's things that we really don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
If somebody needs a drug, that's where we send them to the doctor.
Yeah.
I can add something on there that I've noticed. A lot of patients would say to me, like, well, why didn't my doctor know? And you know what? It breaks my heart because they don't have the time. They're very overloaded. And when I tell them, when you do this and this helps you, just please tell your doctor, because something Johan and I have both found, and we are both testimonies from that, this change in our careers of trying to help other people through functional medicine would not have happened if we were not both overweight, unhappy, and unhealthy. So the only people that I've ever experienced, doctors, specialists, people in my realm of work, the only people that have stepped out like we have are the ones that struggled so much and nobody could help you and we had to help ourselves.
True.
So that's where the portion of hope comes from. And also the fact that we've walked this walk and we can talk it because we've done it. So that is, to me, is where I feel then a patient needs to go back and say to his doctor, you know, I did this, this helped. It could help them. You don't know what situation they are in. But we do love to work together with them, work with their patients with them. And we just here as a supportive role, very much educational is probably one of the biggest things we do.
For sure.
Yeah. So talking of which, so let's assume somebody calls me, I'm counseling with somebody and they need to see somebody like you guys, a functional medicine practitioner. All right. How can I get them in touch with you? Do I suggest they go see a functional medicine practitioner? Because look, I deal mainly with food. All right. Trying to get people to change their eating habits, eating food that God made for us instead of food that Tyson Foods made for us. All right. I always find that's a good place to start. Change your diet before we do anything else. But now some people need more than just a change of diet. They need a bit of a deeper delve into see what's going on. So, and you don't have to tell me everything you do right now, but, you know, if I send somebody, let's say I send somebody to you, Johan, you know, what approach do you guys have? Where do you start with a person? How do you get them on the right track?
Me and Yvette started with a program called Reset. And I feel that we have a free program and then there's step up depending on what people want to do. And I feel the free program for anybody who wants to get themselves on a health journey, that is the very first step. Just to get yourself acquainted, because one of the things that me and Yvette, we both spoke about this so many times, where the things that we've learned and tried out prior to functional medicine, we would have thought you're nuts if you would have told us that. We'd say, what, you want me to die? You want me to eat this? I'm going to die if I eat that. And truly, with all that, I would say probably the last 10, 12 years where we've been kind of on the same track, learning the same things, we had to test them to see if it works. And if you get into Reset, that is just a little bit of a breaking ground. You have to come with an open mind. to hear that, there is another way. Learn how your body works. Try things out. See how your body responds. And actually listen to your body. And now I disappeared.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. We can hear you.
Okay. I don't know where my...
That's you don't look bad in all gray.
Okay, good.
Well, while Johan finds his way back, what I will explain to people that they might not know is this is online. It's not in person. So you could live in anywhere in the world and we could speak with you. So we have the ability to help people all over from the comfort of your own home. A lot of people would ask these questions like, where do I have to have labs done? Do I have to have this done, that done? We actually have the ability to send things directly to your house and you can return them to us. We typically don't want to go too wild with testing and stuff because we first want to get to know you, meet you, and do the in-depth medical history. And from there, we can decide. And like Johan said, we do have the free 4-week reset program. Then we've got individual plans. We've got a group plan. So it depends on where you at. Do you just want group support? Do you want one-on-one support? So all of that is available in our program that we have online. And I'm sure that Johan will include he's the IT person, so he will include the links and stuff for us in the bottom of the interview so that
Johan's the IT person and you're the QT person.
That's right. That's just it.
So Johan, I'm sure you can tell us a little bit more about what you'll include in there so people will know where to find us.
Yeah, well, we'll include, because like Yvette said, we have the free reset program that we're running. We also have a masterclass, which is a little bit more in depth and a little more focused. And I'll include what is included in each plan as well. And we also have the private coaching. So those are for the people who are really serious, really committed to making a change in their lives, because we don't want you to say, oh, I'm going to do this private coaching, but if you're not committed to your own health and well-being, it's going to mean nothing to you. You will walk out at the end with no results. So commitment, your own personal commitment really counts a lot. And in the program, we really keep you on task. It's for 8 weeks, you'll have some form of contact with us to keep you on track. And then the masterclass, of course, is pretty intense as well. And so those are the 3 main things that we have included right now. We're still building and figuring new things out as we go. And but for now, I think that's a good starting place for any of our viewers at this point.
Yeah.
And I can just come before Johan finishes. I just want to say that just the testimonies, the thankfulness, the emails, the letters we've received from our first few groups and stuff is tremendously inspirational, because for him and I, we sometimes think, yeah, we know this stuff, everybody should know it. And it's quite remarkable, just tiny little things that we mention to people, what a massive difference it's made. So I do believe the 4-week free reset class is probably the best place to start, because you can see where you're at and then from there gauge where you want to go.
Yes.
So that I honestly know. If you can, we have started our new class. Our sign up is closed. We've got a new one coming up for June. So we only allow the group, once it's in, it's closed. We don't let people, because we want you to get the full picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so that group isn't limited in terms of number of participants, is it?
No.
There's a cutoff date to get into the group. Okay, all right. Good
Correct.
To know.
The free group we do for masterclass, because there's a lot of individual work that we do for people who sign up for masterclass, and because time is limited, we do at this moment only allow 10 spots per masterclass, because it is so intense and we want to really offer you the best of us. We don't want to do skimpy work when we have those individualized things that we prepare for you. So for masterclasses, it's really limited. But the free reset program, our goal is to get 1,000 members on that reset class, because that really, the small little steps, like Yvette said, the testimonies we had made such a tremendous impact in those people's lives that, we have to share it far and wide.
Yeah, and just listening to everything you guys are saying, you might have to scale this business somewhat, because I think at some point 10 people per masterclass is not going to be enough.
Well, that is true, Tony. That is the idea. At some point, we definitely will have to do that.
Yeah, because I just, dealing with people that I speak with on the phone, there's just so much, for lack of a better word, misinformation when it comes to health. All right. I've got so tired of those two words, misinformation and disinformation, but it's better than saying the alternative. Okay. So we're going to keep this clean and on some family shows, so we'll keep it above board. But yeah, I deal with a lot of people that could do with some functional medicine practitioners in their lives. That's for sure. So, yeah, I appreciate everything you guys do. And I don't want to keep you for too much longer. I know, Yvette, you did mention Zoom, and you guys said this is live. It's all, you can do this from wherever you're at. So you and your aunt can be practitioners from anywhere, work anywhere, from any location, on the beach, in the front home office. But the people that join your program also, they can just be at home. They don't have to come and see you and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. I think you guys are going to do exceptionally well. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because there's so many people that need your help. So I appreciate it.
I just want to add in here a little bit as well. We will also incorporate somebody like Tony that is a Nutrition Council certified, so that he can help and assist us with that. So further along the line, you might have to speak to him as well.
Yes.
Agreed. That's going to be fun. Brace yourselves, people.
He shows no mercy.
Call a spade a spade. And I'm going to end with this little story real quick. I was speaking with a guy, this was a number of years ago. He called, he's got diabetes, it's big time, it's bad, he's overweight. So I suggested that he cut down on his carbohydrate intake. And he's like, okay. I said, that includes things like, and this was a Hispanic guy that I was speaking to. So I said, cut down on, your vegetables from below the ground, your potatoes, that kind of stuff. Cut out rice and beans and corn. And he stops me. He says, hey. I said, what's wrong? He says, you do understand I'm Mexican. I said, I get it. But you asked for help, and this is what I'm going to suggest, so you can do with that information as you please. But yeah, and I know you guys are the same. You'll just, we don't want to beat about the bush. We're trying to help people.
Yes.
And give them the advice, and what they do with it is up to them. So I appreciate the time, guys. Thank you very much. And lady, sorry.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Johan.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. This was really great. We have to do this again.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll catch up and see how things are going.
Great. Thank you. Goodbye, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.